Let's be honest, the only way to your dreams is through your struggles. Let's be honest, the only way to be good at something is to be bad at it. Let's be honest, the way to your highest, most magnetic self is through being cringe. Y'all do not know how to trust the process. And that's why the universe be leaving y'all on red. Cause y'all don't be trusting it. Stop judging things so harshly when they're not even in their final form. That's not even the final product. It's not even fucking finished. And you won't be finished until you leave this realm. So stop judging yourself so harshly. Point blank, period. Okay, stay blessed. Something is always being sold to you. Now, for the first few minutes, I'm going to sound like a conspiracy theorist, but I need y'all to hear me the fuck out. Y'all need to be very careful with what you accept as reality. Just because everything around you is saying this is what's real does not mean that that is what is real. Something is always being sold. An image is always being crafted and presented to you. Ideals are always being pushed onto you, whether you are conscious of it or not. This is like, it's like kind of like when people think that the stuff that happens with celebrities are real. Like they really be getting into the celebrity drama and the celebrity gossip as if that shit is not a show, as if it's not all PR. It's the people that be coming and getting shocked when influencers come on here and tell you that they've been lying. But like on a larger scale, something is always being sold to you. You do not know even a quarter of what's going on with the elites. Like people talk about AI, for example. This is a really good example. AI. Everyone's like, oh, AI is getting so advanced. You don't understand. We're getting at the bottom of the barrel stuff. If what we're getting is so advanced to you, imagine what they have up there. Imagine the amount of shit we do not know about. And coming back to the idea of conspiracy theories, I understand that conspiracy theorism can lead down a very dangerous path, but every single path of life has a validity to it. Validity? That is why people follow this. I made a video not too long ago talking about you cannot dismiss the humanity of people you do not agree with, because then you're not understanding how they got to the point of where they are. People who are conspiracy theorists understand that they are not being told the full truth. And if you believe that if all the time you're being told the full truth and anyone who questions what they're being told is crazy, I got news for you. The amount of propaganda and brainwashing that happens on a large scale is wild. And as a psychology major and someone who like has worked in marketing and sales, something is always being sold to you, even if you know it or not. Look at history. And this is why history is so important. This is why education is so important. Look at history. If you think, and don't look at history from like a detached perspective, look at history as if you were the one living that history. For example, if you look at the mindsets of people, for example, we like to call the older class out of touch, or the older people, older generations out of touch and stuff. If you really think about what was it like to live during that time period, how do you think they got the mindsets that are so out of touch? Because of wide-scale marketing and propaganda, the selling of an image, the selling of an ideal that is no longer being sold. That is what makes someone out of touch. It's not because they have the wrong mindset. They just have an outdated version of what is being sold right now. Does that make any sense? I don't know if that makes any sense. This is why it's super important to analyze what you believe all the time. Like, you always have to be reviewing the things you believe, because we will adopt belief systems unknowingly. And this is how brainwashing works. We have because our brains, the conscious part of our mind cannot be focused on too much at once. So our unconscious mind will do the work of just kind of plucking things from our environment and putting it in our head. Nobody is immune to brainwashing and propaganda. I'm not immune to brainwashing and propaganda. Because it is an unconscious mechanism. Like, you are not consciously saying, I'm going to believe this. All the things that you believe right now, you most definitely, for a majority of them at least, did not necessarily say, I'm going to believe this. You just found yourself believing them one day. That is how that shit works. And side note, this is also very good to know for like manipulation as well. And oh god, this is just like I could write a whole dissertation on this. Let's talk about this from a spiritual perspective and understand that my version of spirituality is completely different from what you usually associate spirituality to. I believe spirituality is where everything, science, psychology, art, all of it meet in the middle. And it's just easier to use spiritual and like spirits and demons to talk about these things rather than break it down and talk about how all of it connects. You literally would never. So it's just easier to talk about it through spiritual terms. So we have our spirit selves, right? And our spirit selves really represent the unconscious mind. Our spirit selves have unhealed parts. And when we have unhealed parts, those create wounds in our spiritual body. Those create like imbalances and stuff. And our imbalances and our wounds are places where negative energies can attach to you. It is through these wounds that people can manipulate you and control you. That's also why, side note, why it's so dangerous to let yourself just walk around unhealed, because people are using those unhealed parts of you to control the way that you are functioning, whether you are aware of it or not. I am telling you, I am guaranteeing you, and this is from someone who if I want to manipulate you, I can. I'm not a manipulative person because I have a very strict moral code, #autism, but when I have to, game over, right? That's on being a Gemini. That's on being a psychology degree holder. That's on, yeah. And this is another part where I'm going to sound a little bit like a conspiracy theorist, but this is also why I strongly believe we are, as a people, are always kept working, stressed, unhappy, depressed. Why I feel like we are not going to achieve world peace, because world peace literally will stop us from being able to be controlled. It is not that we cannot bring everybody satisfaction or happiness. It is that if we do, then we won't have any desire to listen to the people who are above us. Does that make any sense? It's a very spiritual thing. It's a very manipulative thing. This is what allows brainwashing to fester easier, because you are more easier to control when you are broken down. When you have enough gaps and wounds in your spiritual self that you can be pulled on and someone can just reach in. Don't even get me started on the fact that the elite will take the most talented, the most intelligent, and the most capable of us out of our communities to serve their purpose rather than to serve their communities. And then they have the money, they have the resources, they have technology we don't know about, they have the most intelligent people on their teams. And y'all are still sitting here and saying that there's not something that's being very calculated. The people that are the faces that we see, because a lot of the times the people that are like the puppets, the people that are at the faces, they're not the smart ones. The smart ones are the ones putting in the work. They're not the ones doing PR and answering shit on camera. It paints this picture where people are underestimating the system that we live under. The reason that it's so prevalent, the reason that colonialism has been so effective and so prevalent and literally has seeped into the bones of people who believe things that are harming them to their bones and will die. And will, you know what I'm saying? They'll go to, for that shit, seeped into their bones. And you're telling me that, like, you don't believe that there's something bigger and more calculated going on? Again, I don't mean to sound like a conspiracy theorist, but, like, at the same time, the conspiracy theorists, like, they have their valid points. There is shit that is going on that needs to be brought attention to. Now, I don't know about no star seeds or none of that, right? But I do believe that apart from conspiracy theories, this is also another side thing that would need to be its own video. I believe that a lot of the stories that we have been telling, like the same kind of, you know how they're kind of like stereotypes for stories that kind of follow like a similar plot line, and that they're ideals that are stuck into our head. I also believe that's a whole other form of spirituality, and that because you understand that our ruling class, they use our media and they use our stories and they use art for a reason. It's one of the biggest brainwashing tools. I also believe that there's shit that's been left in there from people who've come way before us that were like, who understood, because, oh Lord, this is a whole other video. But I don't say no to the mystical. Like, even though my spirituality is very science-based, even though my spirituality is very based on the things that can be proven, I also do very much believe in the mystical. And I think that people who dismiss the mystical and are like, that's for crazy people, or that's just like brainwashing, I'm just kind of like, it is a thing. And I did make a Blue Sky thread about this, about how like spirituality leads science. Like it hones us because we have a knowing that something is there before we go and prove it. But whole other, Lord, I could get it. Maybe that might be, if y'all want to hear about that, let me know. If y'all watched it all the way over here. Okay, y'all stay blessed. Thank you for watching the long ass video. Okay. If God dropped onto this planet right now and was like, hey, baby, I exist. Here's the message I'm going to give you. And we all bought it. We all believed it. This is theoretical. 100,000 years from now, what do you think that message is going to look like? Think about it. Pause the video. A little hint. What does gossip look like? How long does it take for one story to split and fracture into whole different stories? And this is just within a small friend group. Imagine a whole school. Imagine a whole city. Imagine the entire world. Hold that thought in your head, move it to the side. Now I'm going to ask you, what is the most effective way to communicate information over long periods of time? What are you more likely to memorize, a fact or a juicy gossip story? A fact or a fact within a song? A fact or a really cool movie scene? Take that head, put it to the side, compile it with that other piece of information. Third question, if someone came up to you in casual conversation and was like, how does water move? Would you say it flows or would you say it vibrates? Girl, what the fuck do that mean? Would you say that it flows like a stream or does the molecules vibrate? Would you talk about osmosis? Would you talk about the molecules? All right, bring the other two pieces of information and let's put it all together, because I promise you all of these questions are related. These are the basis of my theory of religion and spirituality, and why religions and spiritualities look the way that they do today and how they are being consistently misinterpreted, and why we as a society do not need to let go of religion and spirituality, but we need to develop it. I'm an omnist. This is the belief that every single religion and spirituality all have value and validity to them. My version of omnism also involves science, art, all of the stuff around it, psychology, Let's talk about the first question. If God or aliens touched down and were like, I exist, here's my message, and we weren't able to record it, even if you were able to record it, honestly, even if you were able to record it, it really wouldn't make a fucking difference. How would it appear 100,000 years from now? It would appear similar to what it does now, with our religions and spiritualities looking completely different from each other, because 100,000 years and a whole bunch of people, that's a lot of fraction or like dissipating or what's the word? Fracturing to do, right? I believe that all religions and spiritualities are just doing the same thing through different religious contexts. Let's talk about our second question. I asked, what is the most effective way to transfer information over time? What is something, if you wanted someone to remember something and keep it in their spirit, would you tell them through facts or would you tell them through art, stories, sensationalized? The answer is to sensationalize it, to tell it through art, to add a little bit of a little, element so that it sticks in the human mind, because the human mind remembers emotions more than it would remember words. You know what I'm saying? Then I asked you a third question. If you were to describe how water moves, would you talk about the molecules in the scientific, or would you talk about it in casual conversation? And the casual part is very important. Would you talk about it flows? Because we don't talk to each other in scientific. We talk to each other with casuals. So if you want something to sit in someone, stay there and also permeate other people, how would you tell it? You would tell it through a way that they can easily understand, and a way that they can see with their eyes and see their perspective, or at least have a knowing of. And now I'm going to ask you a fourth question. What is best, to have important information mixed with a bunch of sensationalizations or a bunch of other cultural contexts, or to have no information at all? This is a big question. I don't think there's a right answer to this question. I believe that religion and spirituality is the study of the human experience. It is how our human psyche interacts with everything outside of us. It's a reflection of what is outside of us and what is inside of us, right? The spirit and the external, right? And the physical. I believe every single religion and spirituality belief, the core beliefs, can be proved by science. Science we may have now, or science we may not have now. I believe it is our attempt of communicating very important life lessons to the generations below us. It is a very big cultural thing, and it's also very important because a lot of religious messages, once you take out a lot of the hatred and a lot of the twisting and a lot of the power struggles that have now been mixed into it, are very, very important messages. And this comes to my idea that we need to develop religion and spirituality, not let go of it. Because a lot of atheists will be like, I see this a lot, like, we are too mature for religion and spirituality. The issue is that we have stagnated in religion and spirituality, not that we are too mature for religion and spirituality, because religion and spirituality is actually a very important step for our development as a society. As I said, it communicates ideas from a very long, the knowings that we've had since the beginning of time, since humans at least have begun to exist. The collective consciousness, right? But the issue is that we leave it at that. We're supposed to take it and we're supposed to reintegrate it into our physical. Again, there's the spirit and there's the physical. Don't run away yet. Please, baby. I promise there's more to this. The act of reintegrating it into our physical is not something that is instantaneous. It takes work. It takes consistent study. Religion, the same way science is constantly developed, religion and spirituality needs to be constantly developed. to match our times, to match our specific cultural context. It is essentially refitting spiritual ideas and like kind of like placing. It's like a kind of a game like of Jenga. It's a game of chess. It's a game of Where's Waldo. You're supposed to just take these spiritual concepts and see how they apply, even to scientific and physical things. Because another theory that this video is already too long. Another theory is that every single physical physical pattern of behavior, like forces, like physical forces, reflect how spiritual forces behave. It's an exact reflection of each other, and the explanation is going to be very long on that one, but that's what I believe. In some spiritual connect communities, in a very niche spiritual community, people say that religion is the starting point. Religion is like preschool, and you're supposed to move past that. You're supposed to take the information from religion, study it, understand it. Then you're supposed to look into yourself. How does it fit with yourself? Then you're supposed to see, how does it fit with the world around me? There's supposed to be stages to this thing. Everybody is left at the infancy stage. Again, this is not dissing on religion, but this is how I feel about it. Because I'm a pastor's kid. I am not Christian anymore, but my time in Christianity was actually very, very impactful to my spiritual belief system that I have currently. So I respect Christianity. I just think that people should not leave it at a rule book and everyone's like, thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not steal. What does steal mean to you? What is it to steal? Let's think about this theory. Let's really think of critical thinking skills. I don't like that a lot of religions do not encourage critical thinking skills, because if your God is perfect and universal, and if your God created this world, if you utilize critical thinking skills, you should still come to the same answer that you got from your God. It should help you understand. If someone comes to you and tells you about their life and you don't ask questions, it means you're not interested. You don't want to learn more. You don't want to understand. And let me not get, because maybe I could go forever and I'm going to make some people mad. Now, if you want me to do a full-length video on all of this, because again, this is already way too long, I can, because I haven't even scratched the surface of what my theory of spirituality and religion. I've spent a really long time. If y'all been following me, I've deleted a lot of videos. I tend to delete my videos. Sorry, I tend to delete my videos. But I spent like years talking about my belief systems and the things that I've received from my spiritual journey and how it integrates with science, because science is also a creation from spirit. And what is spirit and source? Oh, because my belief of what God and spirit source is something that you might not have heard of either. It's a whole different thing. And I just wish people would stop calling me crazy and actually hear what I'm saying, because what I'm saying is very grounded in reality. I try to make sure it's grounded in reality, because I said you take the spirit, but you also have to bring it through. You gotta pull it down and bring it through. Okay, anyway, y'all stay blessed. Let me know if you want to hear more. Remember, the only reason you judge yourself so harshly is because you have more material. These people do not even know a fucking eighth, a fucking 1/16 of how much you know about yourself. You have more materials. You have different standards. You have the image of what it was supposed to be, what you were going for in your head. Other people don't have that reference point. That's one thing I had to teach myself, is that I'm judging myself so harshly. The thing that I'm shitting on myself for, the other person's like, damn, this is so cool. And I'm beating myself over this. And they're like, this is so cool. They can't see what was in my head. They don't know. When I was dancing, they always used to tell me, if you make a mistake, just keep going. They ain't going to be able to tell. Did they know the choreography? Did they learn the choreography with you? No. Remember that. Stay blessed, baby.